When I, 36-year-old male, was in college, I dated Margot. In our sophomore year, she transferred to a different university, causing our breakup. It was amicable, but given our different paths, we lost touch. I've now been married to my wife, Kathy, for 10 years. We have 3 children, a 9-year-old boy, 8-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old girl. Last year, I got a friend request on Facebook from Margot. Shortly after accepting, she messaged me and asked if we could talk on the phone. I found it weird, but something told me to go through with it. So I called her, and she told me that she had a 16-year-old daughter named Paige. I was in shock, and at first almost didn't believe her. She begged me to at least take a DNA test. After speaking with Kathy, I agreed. Turns out, it's true. I do have a 16-year-old daughter who's lived just an hour from me her entire life. Margot says she didn't tell me as she thought she could be a mother on her own. But now, Paige was older and wanted to know me. I agreed to start a relationship with her. At first, things went pretty well. We did a lot of activities one-on-one, as well as some things with my wife and other children. Initially, Paige wanted to spend a lot of time just with me, which made sense as we had a lot of catching up to do. I see Paige at least once a week. She usually comes to stay with us every other weekend, and I'll go to see her on the weeks in between. Just me, not the rest of the family. While I love my time with Paige, I do also have to balance time with my other kids, something she doesn't seem to understand. I'll invite Paige to join family activities and she'll turn it down. Or she'll find out I'm doing something with one of the other kids and want to come along or ask me to cancel the plans to spend time with her. The biggest incident came this past weekend. My son had a basketball game. Paige asked if I could come hang out with her. I explained why I couldn't, but said she was more than welcome. She got irritated and said no. I offered to come up the following day. She asked why I couldn't just skip the basketball game. I told her that it was important to her brother. She said I had more time with them and they can do without me for a few years. I told her that absolutely was not going to happen. I said I love her. I want to spend time with her, but I also have other kids to consider. She is always welcome to join our activities that aren't special one-on-one days, and I'll always make sure I spend one-on-one time with her. She said she never asked for little siblings, and while I sympathized, I said they exist, and I have to balance everyone. I said if she doesn't want to hang out with the other kids and my wife, that's fine, but expecting me to skip them isn't reasonable. Now she's very upset with me. I have offered therapy. She refuses. I've asked if there's anything my wife or other kids did. She says no, she just doesn't want to share me. She still claims that I should put her above her siblings. I can't do that. Am I the jerk? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. She never asked for siblings, but you never asked to have a daughter hidden from you for 16 years. Though that's not her fault, but her mother's. You've shown a lot of care and compassion, but you are correct that you have to balance everyone. You were correct to tell her that you aren't going to dump your family for her. And I agree with you that she could use some therapy. I would get therapy. Make those appointments, pick her up, and the two of you can be in therapy together for your one-on-one time. I think it would help a lot for a neutral third party to assist her in navigating this new relationship and its complications. Reach out to her when there are family events that you can bring her to. Invite her every single time. Let her be the one to decide whether to engage with your family or not. But keep offering. She's going through a lot, and I think it's really lovely of you to accept her so quickly and try to integrate her into your family. Just don't give up. Comment 2. Definitely not the idiot OP, but Margot is a little bit for not telling you about your daughter sooner. I feel that if you both had the chance to get to know each other when she was younger, this issue of her feeling the need to have you all to herself might not be anywhere near as prevalent as it is now. You are entirely correct in your thinking and actions. You are being fair and considerate to all parties involved. Paige, unfortunately, cannot have you all to herself. That is a completely unreasonable expectation. Your wife sounds awesome, by the way, to be so accommodating and welcoming to Paige. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been 2 weeks since my last post about the bomb that I have a 16-year-old daughter, Paige, from my college girlfriend, Margot. Things have taken some wild turns, and I'm back to update you all on the chaos that's unfolded. Let's rewind a bit. Margot and I had a pretty intense relationship back in college. We were that couple everyone thought would end up together. But life had other plans, and when she transferred schools, we called it quits. Fast forward to now, and I'm happily married to Kathy, with 3 kids of our own. Margot reaching out after all these years was like opening a book I thought I'd shelved for good. Now, onto the juicy stuff. After my last post, things with Paige started to escalate. She's been pushing harder to have me all to herself, and it's causing a rift not just between her and my family, but within my marriage too. Kathy's been a saint through all this, but even saints have their limits. Last weekend, Paige was supposed to come over for her bi-weekly visit, but she called last minute, saying she wanted to meet up, but only if it was just the 2 of us. I had already planned a family day out with Kathy and the kids, something we'd been looking forward to for weeks. I tried to compromise, suggesting Paige join us, but she flat out refused. She accused me of not caring about her feelings and hung up. Kathy overheard the conversation, and we had a long talk after. She's been feeling sidelined ever since Paige came into the picture. I've been so focused on making up for lost time with Paige that I didn't see how it was affecting my wife and other children. Kathy's always been understanding, but she confessed that she's struggling with sharing me, especially since Paige doesn't seem to want to be part of our family. The next day, I went to see Paige alone, hoping to smooth things over. But when I got there, Margot dropped a bomb on me. She admitted that she had kept Paige a secret all these years because she was afraid I'd take her away from her. She said she saw how happy I was with Kathy and the kids on social media and didn't want to disrupt that. But now she was using Paige to wedge herself back into my life, hoping to rekindle what we had in college. I was floored. I couldn't believe Margot would manipulate the situation like this. I told her that was never going to happen, that my family with Kathy was my priority, and while I wanted to be there for Paige, I couldn't let her disrupt the life I'd built. Paige overheard us arguing and stormed out. I followed her, trying to explain that while I cared about her, I couldn't let her or Margot dictate my life. Paige was hurt, saying she felt like a second choice, and I spent the rest of the day trying to reassure her that wasn't the case. The confrontation with Margot made me realize I needed to set firmer boundaries. I sat down with Paige and laid it out. I wanted to be part of her life, but not at the expense of my family with Kathy. I suggested family therapy again, and this time, Paige reluctantly agreed. But just when I thought we were making progress, another curveball hit. My son's basketball coach approached me after a game, saying he'd seen Paige hanging around the gym on days when I wasn't there. He was concerned because she'd been asking other parents about me and my family. It was clear Paige was struggling more than I thought, and her actions were starting to concern others. I confronted Paige about it, and she broke down, admitting she felt lost and didn't know where she fit into my life. It was a heart-wrenching moment, and I promised her we'd work through this together as a family. Kathy and I have been talking a lot more about how to handle this situation. We're trying to find the right balance between supporting Paige and protecting our family. It's not easy, and there are no clear answers, but we're committed to making it work. As for Margot, I've had to distance myself from her. Her intentions weren't as pure as I'd hoped, and it's clear she has her own unresolved issues to deal with. I've made it clear to her that while Paige is my daughter and I'll be there for her, Margot and I have no future together. Husband's family says I should quit my job because I'm married with kids. Oh boy, they'll regret it. I am a manager for cybersecurity engineering for a big tech company. My husband is an internal medicine specialist. I make over $200,000 a year, and he recently started making his full salary around $400,000. We had our first child around 2 years ago, and I'm pregnant with our second. My family is pretty open-minded about it, but my husband's family are old-fashioned, and since we are Japanese, there is a consensus from them that women who are married with children shouldn't be working. My husband is very lucky, he has less loans than other doctors. just over $130,000, but that's because his family paid a lot of it off already. So, I've been getting hints from them that I should be a stay-at-home mom, Sam, and leave the money-making to my husband. I don't want to leave my job, and my company is relatively understanding. I got 6 months off, 3 months with full pay, and 3 months without, for my first child, and was able to keep my current position. The male members of my team are also able to take paternity leave, so I don't see why I have to leave my job. I also paid most of the bills, while my husband wasn't making much as a resident. My aunt was a stay-at-home mom, and to make more income in her retirement, she babysits my son. She is also going to be looking after my youngest child when my maternity leave ends. I have been also guilted by other moms, especially my husband's co-workers' wives, since most of them who are not also doctors become SAMs. But I don't see why I need to. My husband and I outsource all our cleaning, grocery delivery, lawn maintenance, etc., so all we do is cook. So almost all our time at home is spending time together as a family. And apart from the rare occasion, we both work 9 to 10 hours a day, with me working a bit less, as I don't have a commute. Even then, we still save a lot more than if I were a stay-at-home mom. But my mother-in-law has commented how it's not right. I outsource these things because a mother shows her love by cleaning after her kids and husband. My mother-in-law recently came over, and while eating dinner, she said the food was great and complimented me, and I said my husband made the food. He finished work early, and I was in a meeting with a customer. And she was shocked and said it wasn't right that my husband has to do any work after his long shift. I got annoyed and said that I was working longer than him today. And she said, well then, you should quit so you don't need to. I got mad and told her I save over $12,000 a month after paying to outsource. I didn't have an interest in doing anyway. And with that money, we can send our children to top schools and have undergraduate and probably graduate school paid for. So it's ridiculous to expect me to quit just because she has old-fashioned ideas that women need to be on their knees scrubbing away. My mother-in-law was offended, but my husband told her, it's already been settled and I'm going to still be working. But everyone always telling me I'm a bad mom if I don't quit my job has me worn down. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the a-hole for shutting her down. However, it is more effective to cut it off at the root. DH and I are perfectly capable of making the best choices for us and our kid. Thanks. Rather than answer her butting in a way that doesn't necessarily make sense. If someone earns $200,000 and wants to be a stay-at-home mom, more power to them. It's about the right choices for the individuals involved, not about any specific career or income. I don't need to know what you make or how much you save under various scenarios. All I need to know is that you and DH agree and your family is thriving. Comment 2, not the a-hole. The only ones who should be commenting on your personal business is you and your husband. You don't owe anyone else any explanation or apologies for how you live your lives. You don't owe them any accounting of your finances either. It's none of their business, regardless of being related to you. From now on, don't get mad, simply shut them down. Try saying, we have everything under control and we're happy, thank you. Keep it on repeat if they keep trying to force their opinions. They'll get tired of hearing you saying the same thing over and over. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been a busy few days, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after the dinner incident with my mother-in-law, things seemed to calm down a bit. My husband and I had a long talk about boundaries and how we needed to present a united front. He's always been supportive, but I think the pressure from his family was starting to get to him too. We've been through a lot together, from the early days of his residency when I was the main breadwinner, to now juggling our careers and 2 kids. It's never been easy, but we've always been a team. But then, 2 days ago, I came home early from work to a surprise that I never saw coming. I walked in to find my husband sitting at the kitchen table with his mother and his sister, who I always thought was on my side. They were deep in conversation, and the look on my husband's face told me something was off. I could feel my heart pounding as I approached them. Turns out, they were staging an intervention of sorts. My mother-in-law had convinced my husband that it was time for me to leave my job and focus on the family. She had been working on him for weeks, playing on his insecurities about being a good provider and the importance of traditional roles. And my sister-in-law, who I thought understood my passion for my work, had betrayed me by siding with her mother, saying that she had seen how stressed I was and that it was affecting the kids. I was floored. I couldn't believe that my husband, who had always been my rock, was now questioning our entire arrangement. I reminded him of the sacrifices I had made for his career, how I had supported us financially during his residency, and how we had agreed that both our careers were important. I told him about the plans I had for our future, the savings I was contributing to, and how I had always made sure our family time was a priority. The conversation got heated. My mother-in-law accused me of being selfish, of putting my career before my children. She even brought up how my aunt, who had been a stay-at-home mom, was now struggling in retirement, and that I was heading down the same path. I couldn't believe she was using my aunt's situation against me, especially when my aunt had been nothing but supportive of my choices. In the midst of all this, my son came into the room, and I saw the confusion on his face. It broke my heart to see him witness this tension in our home. I knew then that I had to stand my ground, not just for me, but for him and his sibling on the way. I wanted them to grow up knowing that their mother was strong, capable, and that she could contribute to our family in more ways than one. I told them all that I wasn't going to quit my job, that it was non-negotiable. My husband, who had been quiet for most of the conversation, finally spoke up. He admitted that he had been swayed by his mother's arguments, but seeing my conviction, he remembered why he had fallen in love with me in the first place. He apologized for doubting our plan and for not standing up for me sooner. My mother-in-law stormed out, and my sister-in-law followed after a tense goodbye. It was a tough moment, but it also felt like a turning point. My husband and I spent the rest of the evening talking and reaffirming our commitment to our family and to each other. We agreed that we needed to set firmer boundaries with his family and that our choices were ours alone to make. The next day, my husband had a talk with his mother. He told her that while he respected her opinion, our family decisions were not up for debate. He made it clear that any further interference would not be tolerated. It was a bold move, and I was proud of him for taking that stand. As for my sister-in-law, I haven't spoken to her since that day. I'm hurt by her betrayal, but I'm also focusing on the positive changes that have come out of this. My husband and I are stronger than ever, and we're more determined to build the life we want for our family. Single mom B asked me to drive her daughter D to school when the bus wasn't available, but she never returned the favor. Oh boy, I got my revenge on her. First, this is a throwaway account because my main has a lot of identifying things about me if someone were to snoop through it. Note, all names are fake. My daughter, Daisy, 12-year-old, made friends with D, 13-year-old, 2 years ago. Thick as thieves. D's mom, B, 36 years old, is a single mom and struggles. When the girls started middle school, we learned the bus wasn't available to them. Walking or driving them to school is required. The original plan was for B to drive the girls to school in the morning and I would pick them up. However, that plan fell through at the start of the year, so I did both pick up and drop off for several months. Eventually, B started driving D to school in the morning again, but never bothered to honor our original deal, so I still took Daisy in the morning and did pick up after school for both. B is also very demanding and needy. It has gotten to the point, anytime my phone dings from a Facebook message, my significant other will ask, "What does she want now?" It's become a weekly thing, with times being a daily thing. I've helped where I can, but a lot of her requests are wild. I need money for food. Do you know anything about X, Y, or Z? I've never given her money, but have helped with giving her an old phone, with the promise it'd be returned when she got a new one. She returned it. All right, completely shattered. Last bit of context that is important. I am currently 5 months pregnant. Suffered a knee injury when my dog decided to hide behind me by trying to go through me. Also, my child walking home alone from school is a big no, because she would have to cross 2 major roads that have like 10 lanes each, 3 lanes each side, 2 left turn lanes / 2 right turn lanes. And people in my city seem to think red lights are optional. The issue: my car decided to just stop going vroom on my way home from picking up my son. Luckily, we were close enough to the house, he was able to push it to our driveway, but left me unable to leave again to pick up the girls. I called B, begging her to pick up the girls just once as a favor, but she replied, "No, I can't. Figure it out." Tried calling my significant other, but he was either in meetings or at physical therapy. So I walked. Took me over 40 minutes to get there with my knee. By the time I got there, my significant other had gotten off work, so he offered to pick us up at the park next to the school. It was a semi-warm day, so wasn't a huge issue, but Daisy told me that B came to pick up D, so obviously she could get there with no issues. I was pissed, so I messaged her and told her, from now on, we should just pick up our own kid. You couldn't do me one favor in my time of need after I have helped you out with so much. B blew up on me, saying I was breaking a promise even though I never promised anything. It was just a deal. Daisy and D aren't really friends much these days. Daisy says the only time they talk is when they are in my car and at school. D acts like Daisy doesn't even exist. So am I the idiot? I feel bad because she struggles, but I feel used at this point. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. If she wants to call it a promise, then she already broke it long ago. She's asked you for countless favors and gotten them, despite the ire it's causing you in your relationship. Then this one time you ask her for something, and it's too much trouble for her. To pick up a child, standing right next to her child. Unbelievable. Ditch her and don't look back. She is a complete user. Comment 2. Not the idiot. When you recognize one of these people who are very comfortable taking, always looking to grasp as much as possible, but are unwilling to give, cut them out as much as possible and don't spend a moment feeling bad. As a giver, I've had to learn the hard way. Stick to your guns. B will always abuse kindness and end up wondering why no one wants to help her anymore. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I just had to share the latest developments. It's been a busy couple of weeks, and I'm still trying to process everything that's gone down. So, after the whole car breakdown incident, things with B took a turn for the worse. Remember how I mentioned she's been pretty demanding and needy? Well, it escalated. She started asking for more favors, like if I could lend her some household items or help her with errands. I tried to be understanding, given her situation, but it was getting to be too much, especially with my knee injury and being pregnant. Now, here's where the new drama starts. One day, I'm resting at home, trying to keep the swelling in my knee down, when I get a knock on the door. It's B, and she's in tears. She's just lost her job, and she's desperate. She's asking if I can watch D after school, because she needs to go job hunting, and doesn't want D home alone. I'm taken aback, but agree to help out for a few days, thinking it's the right thing to do. The next day, while D and Daisy are at my place, I overhear them talking. Dee's telling Daisy about how her mom has been seeing someone new, and she's not sure how she feels about it. This is news to me, and it explains why B has been so frazzled lately, but I keep it to myself and don't mention it to B. Fast forward to the next week, and I'm picking up the girls from school. As we're walking to my car, I see B in the parking lot, arguing with a man I've never seen before. It's heated, and I quickly usher the girls into the car to avoid the drama. Later, B messages me, apologizing for the scene and explaining that it was her ex, Dee's dad, who suddenly showed up wanting to be in Dee's life again. It's a shocker, considering she's always said he was out of the picture. Now, here's the jaw-dropping moment. A few days later, my significant other comes home early from work, and he's got this weird look on his face. He tells me that he ran into B at the grocery store, and she was all over him, thanking him for being so supportive and even trying to give him a hug. He's uncomfortable, and I'm confused. Why would she do that? I confront B about it, and she breaks down, saying she's just so grateful for all the help and that she's been feeling really alone. She insists it was innocent, but I can't shake the feeling that something's off. My significant other is a good guy, but the whole situation just feels inappropriate. Things get even more complicated when Daisy comes home from school the next day, telling me that Dee has been bragging about how her mom is going to get a rich boyfriend who will solve all their problems. I'm stunned. Is this the same guy who was arguing with B in the parking lot? Or someone else? I decide to have a talk with B, and that's when the misunderstanding happens. I ask her about the rich boyfriend, and she bursts out laughing. Turns out, Dee misunderstood a joke B made about winning the lottery and thought it was real. There's no rich boyfriend, just a stressed-out single mom trying to make ends meet. B apologizes for the confusion and for leaning on me too much. She promises to back off and says she'll figure out her own transportation for Dee. I'm relieved, but still wary. After all the drama, I just want some peace and quiet. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.